Happy Friday here on the Just Baseball Show. It is Friday, June 28th. You got Aram and I am Peter Apple, and we're here to discuss the most recent Subway Series between the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. And as a Yankee fan, I'm glad that this embarrassing nightmare is over. We're also going to go through the mediocrity in the National League. The wild card race is crazy for about a bunch of different reasons. Aram ranked the top 9 teams. I did as well. And because they're all so close, I bet our lists are going to be different, and we're going to debate the teams that we trust to eventually be the wild card teams in the National League. And we're going to end the show with Players of the Week. And it is all brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Remember, folks, download the BetMGM app on iOS or Android and use code JUSTBASEBALL. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if it loses. Now, what the hell does that even mean? Well, once you place a bet after you use our code, and if it loses, you'll get that up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. You put down 100 and you lose, you'll get 100 back. Put down 1,500 and you lose, you'll get $1,500 back. It's a no-brainer to get started if you're interested in the world of gambling. And if you are and you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Aram, you talked about last week your embarrassing story. You started it off. Do you have any, or should we just talk about the embarrassment that was the New York Yankees?
Instead, actually, I have something that I think you'll like. I was just thinking the whole time, you've gotten real buttery with that intro. Like that was like a 9.7, I think, out of 10.
I'll take that. I bet
You're gonna ask what's a 10 out of 10? I don't know. Like that's just like the like 0.3 of like you never give a slice of pizza a 10 out of 10 until like it actually sends you down like this crazy. It would have to be the craziest slice I've ever had in my life. But the best slice I've ever had is about a 9.7. Well, Industry, by the way, they didn't pay for this, but down the street here in West Village, you still got to go there. But that intro was like one breath, one take, smooth. You pivoted from a few different things. Like, come on now, Pete. Like that was clean.
Well, thank you. And that makes me happy. But now we got to talk about my freaking Yankees sucking. That's what
Got
we
to
have to
ease
talk
you
about.
in.
Yeah.
Grimace.
So thank you. Thank you. That
Grimace.
made me feel good because I was in a bad mood, ready to do this episode. But now I feel better because if I can't win a bet and my team can't win any games, I might as well give a smooth intro here on the Just Baseball Show. Well, let's talk about it. Game 1, Yankees lose 9-7. It was an utter embarrassment. Aaron Judge hits a grand slam, and that was about it that the Yankees could provide. Gleyber Torres misses a ball in the infield and then doesn't run out a ground ball to first base and then is benched. Game 2, you think that the Yankees are not going to go embarrass themselves, right? It's a 2-game set against your arch rival, sort of, in the National League, at least, the Subway Series. No way you're going to lose, right? How about this? How about a more embarrassing loss? How about a 10-run loss? 12-2. Sean Manaea, bases loaded, doesn't matter. Double plays all over the place. Aaron Judge hits his 30th home run. That's the only highlight from the Yankees series so far. All right, your turn.
So I hear you. I get why Yankees fans just it's got to be. It hurts more when you lose to the Mets, right? The perceived little bro. But I do want to say, like the Yankees have obviously been playing great ball all year. They're 52-30 even after the sweep. The Mets have been so good of late. How much of it and try to like zoom out from the my Yankees are like annoying as hell lens. How much of that do you think was actually the Mets just playing really good ball right now? Because the Grimace thing is unreal. And like that's been a really funny like starting point here of what's been an unreal stretch for the Mets. I was kind of expecting this series to be that comeback down to earth. You're running into the Yankees, Cole comes back, all this good stuff. And I think it was a sloppy series from the Yankees overall. But I mean, the Mets earlier in the year, they'd go out of their way to lose those games. When Judge hit that grand slam, like they somehow lose that game earlier in the year, I think. Like the Mets, they look like a different ball club here all of a sudden. I feel like I don't know what to do. And we're going to talk about them a bit when we get to the ranking of the NL wildcard teams. But I mean, they've just been a roller coaster ride and it's fun, but it's been wild.
I think it was a combination. I think it's part one, the Yankees are playing really bad baseball right now. The past 3 series, they lose 2 of 3 to the Red Sox. Then they lose to the Orioles. And then they lose to the Braves. And they have objectively not been playing good baseball. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge are still doing their thing, but the rest of the lineup has not been good. and the pitching has been mediocre at best. Then you look at the Mets side. Number 1 in WRC plus against right-handers over the last 2 weeks. Number 1 against left-handers over the last 2 weeks.
So
This
everybody.
lineup has been destroying baseballs. And now the starting pitching, like David Peterson did not shock the world here. Sean Manaea did not shock the world here. But when you put up 21 runs in 2 games, it could be me throwing with my left arm blindfolded, and the Mets are probably going to have a good chance of winning those games. It's not like the Mets bullpen was all that great. It was the offense and it was the defense. And the reason I'm bringing up the defense is, you know what player on the Mets who was wildly impressive to me this series? Mark Vientos. Like, we know the bat. We know the bat, right? Hit a couple of home runs. He's been hitting home runs. That's what he does. That's what he's paid to do. He wasn't paid to make diving plays at third. He was supposed to be a first base DH type, and Brett Beatty was going to play third. And the Mets still do have Brett Beatty, and he hasn't really taken the reins of what should have been his third base job. Looks like it might be Mark Vientos' job if he keeps playing like this.
This sport is so wild, man. We're seeing something similar happen. Not quite the same because he hasn't debuted and not as high profile, but I saw Guardians fans saying, I can't believe Jhonkensy Noel, homered in his first game, by the way. I can't believe Jhonkensy Noel debuted before George Valera. And George Valera is kind of like corner outfielder, power guy, walks a ton. And I think everybody always thought Valera was going to be the guy that gets up there and kind of is that buck the trend of Guardians players that gives you the power. And instead it's Noel. And I think here, Vientos has obviously been a good prospect for a while, but Beatty's been the blue chip, and that's been a guy that, I've been very high on. Now, all of a sudden, he struggles. They sent him down, and now he homered twice in Syracuse, but he's a Syracuse legend. Vientos, all of a sudden, looks like he could be their future at third base. And that's why, these things are so fluid. You got to keep it open, and you never know. And that's why you don't just always trade the excess that you have. I mean, people were trying to package Vientos in deals over the last 2 years. Instead, they hold on to him, and if Beatty doesn't figure it out, thank goodness they did, because Vientos looks like he could be the future there. Hitting 298 through his first 134 plate appearances this year, too, with 9 homers. But I love that you brought up the defense, because that was a big sticking point. There was concerns. They were playing him in the outfield at points in the minor leagues. They were trying to figure out, can we fight off a move to first base? And I think he's more than done that. Even if he's not a great defender, he's clearly big league caliber at third base. And I'm with you. I think him and Francisco Alvarez returning.
Yeah.
Like, there's a clear, divide of right when Alvarez is returned and Grimace throughout the first pitch. But I think Alvarez should almost be the meme. It's just not funny. But since Alvarez came back, they've been a different ball club. And I mean, when I always like to gauge fan feelings. And I know the one team that brings that out for you is the Yankees. Has he injected any fear in you yet? Or is he not there yet? Francisco Alvarez, in a big spot, he's up at the plate. He had the big homer the other day. You're watching that game. Are you nervous about what he's going to do, or is it still just Alonso, JD, and Lindor and whoever?
So glad you brought it up, because he was going to be the second guy that I brought up. And I also wanted to say, it's so funny that you asked that question like that, because I was just about to bring up the point. I'm starting to get afraid of Francisco Alvarez. That's the point here. And it's not just because he put up a 370 WRC plus this week. Spoiler alert, when we go over players of the week, it's him. He has been, I keep saying pillaging, destroying. He's pillaging and destroying baseballs all over the park. Loud outs. These are the guys, right? Even their outs are loud. Line drives, hitting the crap out of the baseball. Good ABs for a 2-year-old. And that's just
off
the bat.
The IL.
Off the IL. That's just the bat. You're talking about the impact that he makes. We can talk offense all the time. How about the impact that he has on the starting pitching? We know that Francisco Alvarez is a fantastic receiver of the baseball as well. The blocking has improved. The arm has improved as well. He is a very, very good, all-around catcher. Probably he's making the claim that he's the best young catcher right now in the game. And that's not an easy mark to be named. Gabriel Moreno. We could keep going around the diamond, right? There's plenty of a lot of good young catchers. We've talked about Logan O'Hoppe before. Not quite the Adley Rutschmans. I know Adley is, 25, 26, whatever, how age he is. I'm talking about below 25. Francisco Alvarez has to be at the top of that list.
I mean, with what he's doing already, I'm with you. And what is he going to do in 2 years when he gets more settled in? What is a more mature an advanced Francisco Alvarez look like. It's funny. I got a text from Ryan Finkelstein, our managing editor at Just Baseball, and it's always work question, like editorial question, and then always slides it in. Also, in other news, Francisco Alvarez is going to be the best catcher in baseball by the end of 2025. He's so fucking good.
He
That's
is
what I
so
got
fucking
from
good. I
Fink.
agree with
He
Fink,
is.
though. How can, if you're a Mets fan watching Francisco Alvarez, how can you not have the same opinion? And as a Yankee fan watching Francisco Alvarez and then watching Jose Trevino, like, it's watching a hydrogen bomb versus a coughing baby.
That's
It's
pretty,
the meme.
pretty good.
Unfortunately, like, I love Jose Trevino. He's gotten some big hits. He's one of the best pitch framers I've ever seen. But at the same time, like, damn it, they got a 22-year-old phenom, and we got, like,
Austin Wells, come on, my guy's getting hosed still on
but
batted ball.
It's June 28th. If I see another line out, I'm gonna freak out. Can I just bitch about the Yankees for just 5 seconds?
5 more seconds.
5 more seconds. Verdugo is in the biggest slump of his life. Every single time he comes up, he grounds into a double play. And if he ruins another rally, I'm going to punch a hole through my television. Number 2, Gleyber Torres, in a contract year. You're doing
Someone
this?
should tell him.
He's 27 years old. He's coming off 25 home runs and a 273 average. He is not hitting. He hasn't hit all year. He's playing terrible defense. He leads Major League Baseball among second basemen in errors. And I promise you, if it's not one of these, he's making errors, but outs above average is great. No, it ain't. He's not hitting. It's Volpe, Judge, and Soto, and then the rest, it's barren.
His agent must be punching air.
The Scooby-Doo meme? You know the Scooby-Doo meme where it's like the guy who has a mask on and then you pull him off? You pull that mask off? I saw one today, and it was the perfect way to describe it. I'm watching the 2022 Yankees once again. Like, damn it. We can't hit with runners in scoring position. What the hell is happening? Thankfully, Aaron Judge is the greatest player that I've ever seen in my entire life. But that's it. It's all right. I'm done with the Yankees. The Mets are the real story here. The Yankees are just playing bad baseball, and it pisses me off.
Well, and the last thing I want to ask you about the Yanks is, I did actually like the JD Davis pickup because, like, there's a chance he can't be worse than DJ LeMahieu.
Oh, no, he is. No, he's just as bad as DJ LeMahieu. The amount of double plays and strikeouts, like, I wanted him to. I'm done after 2 games. I'm sorry. I'm emotional. I'm done.
At what point do you cut bait on Gleyber, DJ, and Grisham?
Tomorrow.
Grisham, you got Dominguez coming. That's great.
Yeah.
So at what time do you cut bait with DJ? He's obviously a lot of money still owed to him. Do they just eat that? Like,
I talked about it with
Jack. Like
there's
a gaping hole in the back half of the lineup.
I talked about it with Jack. I said the same thing about George Springer with the Blue Jays, right? Lowest OPS when we talked among qualified hitters, all of them. George Springer was. And he kind of brought me back down to earth on that one, saying, what are you going to do? You're going to let go of George? What are you going to DFA him? Like, you just got to ride it out. DJ LeMahieu, you just got to ride it out. Gleyber Torres, got to ride it out. Like, they're not very good, but like every baseball team doesn't have a lineup of all-stars. You have to hope that they find a semblance of their best days. And hopefully those are in front of them because they certainly haven't been behind them.
Yeah. Well, they're way behind them. They were early in
the that's what I mean behind them this year. Like, they haven't done it yet.
Yeah. No, it's fun though, because I'm excited to kind of lead that into the discussion about the Mets, because regardless of how the Yankees are playing right now, like that was a really impressive series. And now all of a sudden they are in that clusterfuck that is the NL wild card. And when you were kind of describing it in the intro, it's like, it really is just kind of a mid-off, but I kind of love that. And it's going to result in maybe a little bit of a dormant deadline, and that's going to be interesting. But at the same time, I'm here for more teams feeling like they can be in it. So I am excited to kind of like fly through that, because who would have thought early in the year, I'm like, okay, I'm in. The Mets might have something here. Then they look like the worst team on earth. And I'm like, oh, of course, why did I buy into the Mets? And then now I'm kind of back and saying, hey, I don't think they're great, but like they could sneak in here. Like they can hang around. So that's kind of where I'm at now, but it's fun, I think, to compare apples to apples here, because there's a lot of flawed teams in the cluster of the NL wild card.
100%. And I know that the Yankees versus the Mets series is slightly dated. I know that you're hearing this on a Friday, and that was more of the Tuesday and Wednesday series, but we brought this series up, 1, for me to bitch for 5 seconds, 2, to give deserved praise to the New York Mets, but then have it transition into a conversation more about the Mets and how they fit into the rest of the wild card race. So like I said at the beginning of the episode, Aram ranked 9 teams in the National League wildcard race. I did the same. Those teams are the San Francisco Giants, St. Louis Cardinals, Arizona Diamondbacks, San Diego Padres, New York Mets, Chicago Cubs, Pittsburgh Pirates, Washington Nationals. I think I said all 9. That's all the 9 that you have written down, correct?
Yes.
So that's not my ranking. We have our rankings. Do you want to go 9-1 and see kind of where we line up? Because we have not shared this list with each other. And realistically, I was going through these 9, thinking to myself, I mean, 9 could be 1 in a couple of weeks. This is going to change. We're going to do the same thing for the American League.
We're going to get
week.
dunked on. We're going to get dunked
100%,
on no matter what.
100%. But it's a good time in the schedule, a couple weeks before we get to the All-Star break, to start to find who are the real ones and who are the pretenders. So do you want to start at 9 and work up to 1, or go from 1 to 9? What do you think is a better exercise?
I don't know. That's actually a great question.
Right?
I think at the top we're going to agree more.
Yeah.
So,
let's start bottom to up.
Okay.
Who's your 9th team?
So I'm making sure I have all 9 correct here.
Okay. Let me do it again. So it is the Pittsburgh Pirates, Chicago Cubs, Cincinnati Reds, New York Mets, San Francisco Giants, St. Louis Cardinals, San Diego Padres, Arizona Diamondbacks, Washington Nationals. Those 9. Apologies. Did not include the Rockies. Did not include the Marlins. Did we not include anybody else?
No, I think that's about right.
I think that's about right.
I guess we didn't include the Nationals, or we did include the Nationals.
No, we did. Nationals are on this. Nationals are right in the thick of it right now.
Okay.
So we got those 9. Who you got at number 9? I know who I got at number 9. I can start.
Yeah, you start. I want to hear who you got.
I went with the Nationals at 9. And I like the story of the Nationals so far. But when I look at this team, it's hard for me to find consistent wins. And that's where I start to look at the starting rotation. Like, Mackenzie Gore has been great, but I wouldn't call him an ace. I think DJ Hers is kind of pitching above his pay grade right now. I think he's a good pitcher. I think he's got good stuff, but I don't know if we can rely on DJ Hers to like continue to battle through wins. Mitchell Parker, kind of the same thing. Like, I believe in these guys. I think they're cool stories, but do I think that they're going to continue to shove and like allow 2 runs in 6 innings to teams like the Dodgers? I have a hard time believing that. And I keep going down. Jake Irvin, I don't like the bullpen at all. And I also know, or at least I'm the most confident of all of these teams, that they will sell, which I think is the big thing here. Like, I don't think that this current Nationals team after the deadline is going to look close to what they are. Like, I think Winker's going to be gone. I think potentially Lane Thomas is going to be gone. I think Nick Senzel is going to be gone, right? Potentially they could trade one of these young starting pitchers in order to get a bag back. We don't know. I assume Hunter Harvey and Kyle Finnegan might be gone too. That's why for me, and overall, I'm just looking at a team that is 24th in OPS as an offense, 15th in ERA as a staff, and 16th in ERA as a bullpen. Not a ton to love, but I could be convinced. Do you have a different number 9?
No, so I tried to buy myself a little bit more time to like convince myself that I could put the Giants or somebody else like below the Nationals. I'm like, oh, well, James Wood's going to debut soon. And I really think that is coming after coming off of the hamstring issue. They've only been playing him in left, which he's been playing center all year. That to me says they're getting him ready for a big league debut. Josiah Gray looked great in his rehab. Sure, those are all good things. But I think, to your point, it would be malpractice if they don't trade Winker. It'd be malpractice if they don't trade some of those expiring guys, unless they're fully in a spot. I don't think they're going to be fully in a spot. And I agree. Like, I think Hers is going to continue to struggle. He's more of a reliever anyways. I think the Nationals are the last spot here, but I think the fact that it's even a discussion is great.
Awesome.
It shows that they're getting there. They're absolutely getting there. The other problem is CJ Abrams, great player. I don't think he's a shortstop. So like, he's also hurting them pretty badly defensively there. And third base with Senzel there defensively. Like, there's a lot of issues, I think, on the defensive side too. So I think for that reason, I'm going with the Nats in last, unfortunately. But again, I think they actually stay within a few games and honestly make it competitive enough to where I don't think they sell until the very end. And I don't think they sell like everyone. I just think those expiring guys.
I think both of us are aligned here where we both think that they are 9, but we're not, oh, this is an easy 9.
A
Like, I
strong
think
9.
I think both of us have a strong 1. I don't think both of us have a strong 9. I think that when you just look at the rest of the teams, I'm most confident that the Nationals are going to sell, and they have the most talent that hasn't proved enough to me yet. It's a lot of young guys who I think have
Yep.
been fun so far. I'm just unsure about how good they actually are, and then I'm fairly positive over all the teams that they're going to sell. That's why they come in at number 9. Do you want me to give
Yeah.
my number 8 team?
And the other thing is Patrick Corbin, no matter what, will throw every 5th day for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
So,
but he's been like weirdly shoving lately. But that's been the
yeah,
national season, right? That you sometimes get good Corbin starts.
yeah, yeah. And I'm with you on Gore. He's good, but like, it's
Yeah,
not
it's good.
your frontline guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go next. This might get some people upset, and I kind of teased it earlier already, but I think the San Francisco Giants stink. And so I got the Giants at 8. I just I don't really know what their identity is. What are they good at? The offense is surprisingly decent, so I guess you could say that. They're 25th in ERA in one of baseball's most pitcher-friendly parks. Their road ERA is 5.15, which is only better than the White Sox and the Rockies. Which I mean, I don't need to say anything more there. They're 13th in WRC plus. That's nice, but I mean, Elliot Ramos has been on another planet. And I do think that there's clearly something that he's figured out here. He's a long time, well-regarded prospect, and I think he's a good player, no doubt about it. Is he going to be Barry Bonds for the rest of the year? I don't think so. I just don't know how they're going to piece it together over the course of 162, trying to just figure out who's going to go, into these spots. I mean, they still don't really have a shortstop that I feel great about. I just don't like the team. I don't love the roster. I think Soler has kind of been a gaping hole in the DH spot. And then pitching wise, yeah, you're hoping to get Blake Snell back, but they just called up Hayden Birdsong to make his big league debut. Jordan Hicks has been hitting a wall. They've been using Spencer Howard now all of a sudden. Like Logan Webb is great, but that's all you got right now, I feel like. So they have a lot riding on the return of Kyle Harrison, the return of, Blake Snell, and we have to still see what that looks like.
So here's my counter to that is that this current Giants team, who did win the first 3 games of a 4-game set against the Chicago Cubs, as we're recording, they're currently playing that 4th game. They're still winning those games. And if we're saying what are they good at, I still really like this bullpen. I still like Camilo Doval. I still like Ryan Walker. I still like the Rogers brothers. Randy Rodriguez, I think, has been fantastic as well. So I have faith in this bullpen. I have faith in a rotation once Kyle Harrison returns and once Blake Snell returns. Makes them much better. And I think that there's potential that Alex Cobb could return at some point to this rotation as well.
Robbie Ray might even come back.
Robbie Ray might come back too. Like
Okay, you
Lamont
might have
Wade.
sold me.
Lamont Wade is on the IL. Mike Yastrzemski is on the IL. I have a different number 8, and I think I'm going to sell you on this team being number 8.
Yeah, I might swap this one, to be honest.
They stink even more. The Pirates stink. I'm sorry. I think the Pirates, they're just not that good. I'm sorry, Pirates fans, because here's what I'm looking at with the Pirates. Say what you want about the Giants offense. The Giants offense is better than the Pirates.
Yeah, no, you've sold me.
And I'm talking about the rotation too. Like, Paul Skeens is unbelievable. He might be better than Logan Webb. I don't know. Sometimes when I watch Paul Skeens, I'm like, yeah, take him against literally anybody in the world. How many more innings is he going to throw this year? How many more innings is Jared Jones going to throw this year? Mitch Keller,
that's even more of a sure thing of him getting shut down.
Exactly.
So, like, he's already at 86.
Mitch Keller, I love, but he's not an ace. He's great. Great pitcher. Love Mitch Keller. Not an ace. He's going to throw for the rest of the year, and he's going to be good. I bet the Pirates win half of his starts for the rest of the year. Maybe more. What about the other starts? And then the bullpen, outside of Colin Holderman, who's locking down anything? Brian Hayes has not taken that next step as a third baseman. No. Offensively, defensively, I mean, he's a wizard. But offensively, it's just Brian Reynolds standing on his head right now, which is keeping this offense afloat. Like, Rowdy Tellez is having a great June. I mean, like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Like, it's been one of their best hitters.
McCutchen, like Connor Joe. This is a cool story. But I also think that the Pirates, I think they might see the writing on the wall too. I see Pirates fans acting as if they're going to be buyers. I'm sorry. I see them as sellers as well. I don't think for the rest of the 3 weeks that they're going to light the story on fire, because I think a front office is going to look and say, all right, we're going to have to shut Skeens down soon. Relatively, we're going to shut Jared Jones down soon. Then
sure.
what? So
Yeah.
for me, the Giants are getting back reinforcements. I think the Pirates are going to be losing their best players.
Yeah, it's funny. That's exactly what I was thinking as you walk through that. Is like the Pirates naturally are going to have some attrition, and then the Giants presumably are going to get reinforcements. I just the Giants roster construction just makes me, I'm so like biased
No,
against it.
to your point, I think the Pirates might be more entertaining to watch. The Giants are so boring to watch. I mean, like we have all 30 MLB teams to watch. You watch a ton of baseball. I do. We watch so much baseball. The Giants are not games that I'm turning on often these days. I just watch Elliot Ramos because I think he's awesome, and Logan Webb starts. But other than that, like I'm watching bullpen games and like an occasional hard hit baseball. But like they're winning, so I don't know. They're not very good, but I don't think they're worse than the Pirates.
No, you sold me. We're tied here with the same through 9 and 8, because that was a reach. Especially thinking about where the Pirates are headed. And again, I Pirates similar to the Nationals. I think very similar cloth here, where heading in the right direction, step in the right direction.
Definitely.
I'm excited to see what they're going to look like next year. A lot of other pieces coming together, but yeah, also a big part of I think why they were performing was Nick Gonzalez comes up and just absolutely raking. Since then, has really hit a wall. So you know they're in a unique spot. I mean, like Yasmani Grandal, their catcher right now, and it's not like Henry Davis has been much better when he comes back. So yeah, I think the Pirates are in a spot where they're going to start to slow down, especially as you said when they probably start to spare the innings of their young studs in Jones and Skeens. So yeah, I'll go with them at 8 as well.
So right now we got the Nationals at number 9, and we got the Pirates at number 8. Before we get to 7 and the rest of the list, let's talk to you about game time. We've all found ourselves in a situation somewhat similar to this. You see that there's a great pitching matchup that you're willing to drive an hour or two for, or a concert that popped up out of nowhere. So you go scanning for tickets, and there's roadblocks everywhere. No good deals, nothing at the last minute, list goes on. Let's fix that for you. New friend of the show is Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Use Game Time for last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, list goes on. Yes, you get a lowest price guarantee and panoramic seat views, but I love, personally, the all-in pricing. Use this toggle feature so you know what you're getting into and you're not hit with the classic, holy smokes, how many fees are there feeling at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code JUSTBASEBALL for $20 off your first purchase. Once you make an account, go to the profile section, use code JUSTBASEBALL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code JUSTBASEBALL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You can find that in the episode description. Let's get back into the list. We got number 7. I'll be honest with you. The Giants were at number 5 for me. Ooh. So I got a couple other teams that I still think are worse than the San Francisco Giants.
Okay.
Are you looking at the rest of the teams right now? Are you open to moving the Giants up after you heard about the reinforcements? And I think there's still going to be buyers.
That's the thing, right? Too, though. Like they're never going to sell. So like,
right? This is like the window.
The way honestly, the way I came into this was like, okay, let me look at what they're doing from a statistical standpoint. And, you know, looking at the Giants from a statistical standpoint, like I said, 25th in ERA in one of the most pitcher-friendly parks. Really, I would consider worst road ERA in baseball because I don't count the Rockies or the White Sox. So like, but then when you really take a look at, again, all those reinforcements coming, you almost forget how many guys that the Giants are missing. And how many, you know, can be added back to the fold within reason.
Lamont Wade is like their best hitter and he's hurt.
And Camilo Duvall, to your point, is not going to have a 4.4.
No.
Like I ventured, that guy turned down a $50 million extension offer going into this year.
He did?
I saw some reports on that.
Wow.
So, I mean, at least that's what was reported. So, And Kyle
a
Harrison's like
hater.
a sprained ankle, like,
Yeah.
so I do think they're gonna get, some guys back sooner rather than later. And I agree, like they could just cautiously buy and add a piece here or there, as much as I don't like a lot of their pieces. So yeah, I'm recalculating on the Giants, and I'm curious who you have at 7, because I still feel pretty good about who's going to be there now instead.
This one was tough. The Cubs are in last place.
Yeah.
Cubs are in last place. Their offense is not very good. It just isn't. Cody Bellinger is actually performing above his pay grade offensively. And what I mean by that is, if you just based on quality of contact stuff, which he outperformed last year, he's outperforming that way again at just a 115 WRC plus. It's not Cody Bellinger putting up a 140 and overperforming it. He's been slightly above league average as a hitter, and he's overperforming it. I think there's a potential. We talked about Seiya Suzuki. He could be on the move. Now, what do they get back for him? I don't know. Maybe it helps their team. But I'm looking at a Cubs lineup that just doesn't hit. I'm looking at a rotation that if Shota Imanaga is slowing down, Steele's still the man, but I got no confidence in the rest. And a bullpen that is just awful. I mean, arguably one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball. Who's an arm back there that you rely on? Genuinely.
Genuinely in that bullpen.
Like, who's an arm where it's like it's a tie game? This guy comes in, you're like, all right, we're good.
I mean, Tyson Miller has been okay.
Yeah, he's been okay.
He's been good, I guess.
For like 30
yeah,
innings.
it's not good. It's not good at all.
So I think that they could be selling at the deadline. And I don't like, what does the hot version of the Cubs look like?
We were talking about yesterday. I was like, who's their best hitter? Like, who are their best hitters? It's so many like slightly above average bats when they're going well, even when they're going well. Like, think about it: Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, all those guys. When they're going well, like, yeah, they could be comfortably
like pretty good, right? Like
115, 120 WRC plus, maybe.
We're watching the
like,
Mets. We're watching the Mets like when Brandon Nimmo was legit. Brandon Nimmo is a legit hitter. When Pete Alonso is legit. When Francisco Lindor is legit. When Francisco Alvarez is legit. Like, these are real hitters that go through slow spurts, but when they're hot, they're elite hitters in Major League Baseball. What does like a really hot Dansby Swanson look like? What does a really hot Nico Horner look like? What does even a really hot Cody Bellinger at this point look like? Seiya Suzuki. He's the guy who, if he gets hot, can get really good. Christopher Morel as well, but it never lasts that long. It'll last like a week and a half, and then it'll be like, well, Christopher Morel's the best power hitter in baseball because he gets 7 home runs in 10 days. And then for the rest, it's just nothing. They get basically nothing from the corners. Like Michael Busch, that was fun for a little bit.
And he's been one of their better hitters still, which is the craziest part.
And where are their reinforcements? Like, who's hurt for them?
Talkman is the one that I actually think would help a lot when he comes back.
But listen to that sentence you just said. Like, respectfully, is that fair?
I know. It's not great. My thing with the Cubs though is, aside from their catching situation, and I still have hope for PCA to settle in, and he's going to give you a ton of value in center, and obviously he's already stole 13 bags, and they're going to give him some more run and let him try to get comfortable out there. There isn't like that gaping hole that some of these other teams have, and like for me, and it's crazy because I was just pitching the Reds a few weeks ago, and now with Lodolo hurt again, and just the way things are going for them, it's starting to get really rough. Like, I'm starting to struggle to be optimistic on this team, especially because
if you're
when
trying
a lefty comes in.
Are you trying to pitch the Reds being worse than the Cubs right now? Because I'm down. I mean, I have them at
for
6.
my list. Yeah, for my list, I have them. I think is worse because of the Lodolo injury, because of the fact that again, when we were talking about them a few weeks ago, I kind of talked myself into it because I figured some of these offensive pieces were going to get going. I knew Candelario was going to heat up, and he has. Ellie De La Cruz has been settling in. Jonathan India has been playing out of his mind. It's at 1,000 OPS over the last month.
But Candelario's day-to-day. Jake Fraley's day-to-day now. Like, these guys are getting hurt too on top of Lodolo.
They're always day-to-day too. Like, especially Fraley and just the outfield situation in general.
Friedel just went on the IL again.
Always hurt. Encarnacion Strand now is hoping he might be able to come back. Got the surgery. He's out several months. Ashcraft, they sent to AAA and bringing him back. Like, he's back and forth.
And then he just got killed in his last start. He just got, I mean, he gave up a ton to the Pirates.
Like I just, and Montes has hit a wall.
Yeah.
The bullpen, like, your closer as a 5. I think I have less faith in the Reds turning this thing around now, just from what I've seen over the last couple of weeks. It couldn't have gone worse from the last time I've talked about them. Compared to where the Cubs, like, there's so many vets, and like, yeah, we talk about who's going to pop for them. That's a great question, but I do know who can, like, at least be solid and well-rounded and give them a shot. And I know Dansby Swanson's going to play better. I know Nico Horner's going to play better. I do think that they're going to maybe try something at third base one way or another. And I think that's where the quote unquote sellers could be moving Morel, moving Seiya, and then getting pieces here that may end up still helping you this year. I do think it's pretty easy to add to the bullpen. Like, that's one of the easiest places to address. So if they wanted to do that, they could, with the wild card still being open. I have more faith in the Cubs being able to turn this thing around, I think, than the Reds, especially when you look at the starting pitching side of things too. With Lodolo out and the way Tyone is throwing, I know Imanaga's hit a wall a little bit too, but like, that was inevitable. He's going to work through it, and he's still been. And we saw what he can be when he's locked in, which is just absolutely lights out. And overall, I think the Cubs rotation has been far from the issue. I mean, they have the most one-run losses in Major League Baseball. I think, what is it, like 19 already this year? And I think that's a large part because they have a bad bullpen, but also there's a little bit of bad luck with that as well. And hopefully that evens out. We've seen that doesn't even out sometimes for an entire season. I love the Marlins making the playoffs last year, but I just have to imagine that PCA is going to swing it a little bit better, that they could pick up a better catching option off the street at this point, I think, than what they're getting from Amaya and what they were getting from Gomes. And I think the other guys are going to start performing a bit better. So I still have some faith. And that we didn't even mention the fact that, like, Justin Steele is back, and like, he's going to keep being Justin Steele. And so, I mean, that three-headed, I wouldn't say three-headed monster, but that trio of Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele, and Jamison Tyone is still really solid. And it's not like Wisniewski's a bum in the 4 spot, and Kyle Hendricks actually has thrown okay the last couple starts, but they also have some other options. Ben Brown could come back from that injury. We saw what he looked like. You hope Wicks comes back from his injury. Assad has been out. Hopefully he comes back at some point this year. I could talk myself into the Cubs more easily, I think, now, given the way things have gone for the Reds.
I see what you're saying. I do. And I'm not opposed to putting the Cubs above the Reds. I think you can make an easy argument for both. So just for the sake of argument, I still think I will pitch the Reds, because here's how I internalize it in my own head. 3-game set. You'll take your trio. Give me Green, Abbott, and Montes. The Reds have the much better bullpen. I don't even think it's close. Like, right, you're talking about Alexis Diaz having a 5 ERA. This bullpen is 9th in bullpen ERA in Major League Baseball. Like, Fernando Cruz is still pretty damn solid. So is Lucas Sims. So is Sam Moll, Nick Martinez, Brent Suter. Like, the Reds could even put Nick Martinez in this rotation, but they already gotten some good contributions from Carson Spires. So while I agree with you, a 2-headed monster of Shota and Justin Steele is better than what the Reds can give you. But if it's Hunter Green versus Justin Steele, it's not that big of a gap. Like, Shota Imanaga against Andrew Abbott is not that big of a gap. Like, yes, you'd probably lean towards the Cubs, but then what about once those starters exit and it's tied? Who's winning the game? Probably the Reds, because they have the much better bullpen. And if we're talking about offensive pieces, like we're talking about some of these guys that are injured right now, the only Cub offensive piece that's injured is Mike Tauchman, right? If we're talking about these guys coming back, like, I also don't expect Will Benson to just be legitimately unusable. Tyler Stevenson is actually good. Spencer Steer is actually good. India and Ellie De La Cruz are still, playing super well. I just feel like I would take the Reds offense. I would. If everyone's healthy, give the Cubs back Mike Tauchman, and then give the Reds back everybody that's healthy as well, or that's unhealthy right now, right? If we take TJ Friedel back, we get Candelario back, we get Fraley back, I'll take the Reds offense and I'll take their bullpen. And yes, the Cubs have a couple better starters, but if the game tied, who's winning? I think it's the Reds. Like, that's why it was very slight. And just a cherry on top of the sundae, Reds have a positive run differential, at least. Like the
Yeah.
Cubs are losing 1-run games, but if we're talking about luck, the Cubs should get a little bit lucky, but the Reds should as well based on run differential. That's
Yeah.
why I just razorly thin went the Reds when in reality, like, I think you could go any other direction. But did that convince you more of the Reds or are you still on the Cubs? I can be convinced.
I'm sticking for my list. I'm sticking with the Cubs.
Okay.
Or sticking with what I've got here with the Reds behind them. Because my thing too is like, yeah, if they were playing each other in a 3-game set, might get tough. But over like 162, so over the rest of the season, however many games are left, I'm then thinking about like what they're getting from a starting pitching standpoint, and I like the quality starts that you're getting from a Jameson Tyone as the third guy versus what they're trying to get from their third guy in their rotation right now in Cincinnati, unless Lodolo can come back sooner rather than later. But the bullpen does concern me because like that could just be a disaster for them all year. Like I've seen they have the same game every single day. It
Every
feels like
time.
the Cubs. It's the same game every single time, and you almost know how it's going to unfold. So I don't feel good about it either way. But I think both of these teams are clearly very, very flawed.
The Cubs get out to a 3-1 lead every game and then lose 4-3.
Yeah.
Every game.
Every game.
Just
it's
every
unreal.
Game.
It's absolutely unreal.
So after hearing all this, talking through it, I still think the Giants should be 5. I still think the Giants are better than the Reds and the Cubs. Do you disagree?
No, you convinced me on that front. I've got them up there.
So basically our list so far is the Cubs and the Reds flipped, but
Yes.
it's Nationals 9, Pirates 8, Cubs, Reds any way you want it. Then we have Giants. Then now we're getting into the top 4. And these are teams that I think we're more confident in.
I'm curious to see what the difference is.
Sort of like, I'm going to put the Mets at number 4. You think that's fair?
Yeah.
I'm going to put the Mets at number 4 now. Mets fans are probably pissed, right? Because they know that there's 3 other teams in the wild card race that are ahead of us that aren't the Braves. What are we talking about, Peter? Ever since Grimace threw out the first pitch, we're the best team in baseball. I agree with you. You are the best team in baseball since Grimace threw out the first pitch, but you're arguably the worst team in baseball before that. Like,
just go look at the pitching staff.
The Mets still have the same problem. It's just the bats are hot.
Yeah.
The rotation is not good at all.
No.
Like, okay, Sean Manaea, I get it, but he ain't going into the 6th. So if he can give you 5 innings, 2 runs, good for you. Like, it doesn't move me. Luis Severino, I think, has some great starts. See what he looks like in September. Right? I've seen this story before. Jose Quintana is just objectively over the hill. Then you go through the rest of the rotation, like, who are we banking on here? And then the bullpen, Diaz just got suspended 10 games and hasn't looked like himself. Then he's going to come back from the sticky stuff. He might have been using it the whole time. We don't know. You think it was just a one-off? Diaz just decided to use sticky stuff that day? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know.
He's a little extra.
I'm still not confident in that. And the bullpen in general, like Reed Foley has been good, but he's on the shelf now. Reed Garrett has been good, but then I watched him give up a grand slam to freaking Aaron Judge. Like, he can be hit. Of course he can. I don't love this bullpen. The bats are hot right now. So it's hard to say that I'm down on the Mets overall. I'm putting them at 4. I still don't know if they're going to be buyers or sellers. This was supposed to be a bridge year. I don't know if Dave Stearns and Steve Cohen just move into buyers category because the bats are hot right now. Yeah, I think they see the writing on the wall. They're both smart guys. We saw Steve Cohen cut bait when he felt that this team wasn't good enough. And I don't know if this recent hot stretch is enough for them to say, you know what, we are going to buy. Now, I could be wrong. That's why I'm putting them at 4, right? I could have put them a lot lower because if we did this 5 days ago, they'd be 6, 7. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, but I just can't put them higher than 4.
I'm with you on that one. Also, the one thing though that I do like about them and that makes it a little bit interesting is, Christian Scott, they're managing his innings right now in AAA. He's going to come back and he'll be better than what they're getting from Tyler McGill and probably Jose Quintana. I know he had like a good start maybe 2 starts ago, but overall has not.
They're having like some good starts right now, but it's just, I know who these players are. And I think Mets fans know who these players are. There's one thing where it's like they're hot for a little bit versus are they good for 162? And I don't think the Mets rotation is good for 162. I think they can have good starts here and there.
Getting Christian Scott back helps a ton. I do like Brandon
Sproat. Help a ton though? Like, what is a ton? Because how good is he going to be? Like, he's good, but again, he's a rookie.
He's pretty good. I like again, we're talking about filling out a rotation here,
Yeah.
and that's a spot I feel good about compared to like Tyler McGill. I mean, this guy through his first 5 big league starts had a 3.9 with even better underlying, like a 3.47 xERA, and it just doesn't walk anybody. Like I feel really good about him at least being a 4, and I think he
Yeah.
can be pitched more like a middle rotation arm. That helps, but it
It
doesn't really put you over the top. I still think they're going to be careful with Sproat, so I don't think they're going to fast track him. Fassel's been a disaster in AAA. Hamill's been bad, so it's not like they have a ton of other pitching reinforcement outside of Sproat if they wanted to be aggressive with him. So yeah, and Kodai Senga, like I don't think he's going to pitch this year. I'm not sure
Yeah, I
he
don't
will.
think so
I don't
either.
know what the latest is there. So yeah, I love what they're doing offensively. Getting Scott back at some point is helpful. And I think this lineup from star power perspective is just better than all the others. You know, if Giants and Cubs and Reds fans are like, well, you know, why aren't we in that conversation? You know, they're pretty flawed too. Look at how they were playing a few weeks ago. Sure. But Lindor is, you know, arguably one of the best shorts, not even arguably, he's one of the best shortstops in baseball. We've seen Pete Alonso, you know, just mash year over year over year. JD Martinez hits every single time. We already talked about Francisco Alvarez and Vientos and what they've got going on there. So, I mean, from a lineup perspective, and I didn't even mention like a Nimmo and all these guys, like they've got vets that have performed and then young guys that are seeming to make a leap here. So I think that offense from just a talent perspective and capability perspective is just on a different level than all the other teams we talked about before, which is why they settle in right here.
Agreed.
But I think when you look at the pitching side, I don't know how they weather the storm the rest of the year to continue to put themselves in positions to win ball games between the rotation and the bullpen with Ottavino really struggling. And as you mentioned, Edwin not quite being Edwin off of the surgery and now with the suspension.
And then you factor in the questions of will they buy or sell. This is
I
where
think there's almost no chance they buy. I don't think they sell, but I think they just stand pat.
or maybe sell off. I mean, who knows? Like, is Pete Alonso going to get traded? We still don't know.
If they're in it, probably not, and they're just going to have to take it when he leaves.
Who knows?
In
Maybe
free
they resign him
agency.
in the offseason. Who knows? Maybe they resign him. He's their guy.
They could.
He's the
They're
polar
going
bear.
to try, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But so and if not, they get the comp pick, and you know how much bigger was the package going to be than the comp pick? Maybe decently, but at the end of the day, it's not like you have nothing to show for it. So I think from that lens, like they're going to keep it together, and at least for the most part, and that should give them a decent chance here, and I think puts them ahead of the Giants, Cubs, Reds, and of course Pirates and Nationals.
Do you agree with them being at 4?
Mm-hmm.
Because I could hear a sound argument for them at 3 over this team that I have at 3, and that is the St. Louis Cardinals. The way I view it is because the Cardinals underratedly are playing really good baseball as well, right? When we go to the standings right now, we just look at how the Cardinals have been playing. They've won 7 of their last 10 games. You know, they're still 3 games over 500 right now. They're 41-38. Like the Cardinals this season have been pretty good. The problem is we're also looking at a negative 31 run differential. That is worse than the Pirates and actually the worst mark in the National League Central, even though they're 3 games over 500. So if we're looking at run differential, there might be some regression here. The thing is, I think the Cardinals have the best roster of any team that we've named so far. Because when I look at the Cardinals offense, I view it very similarly to the Mets. And not similarly to a team like the Cubs. Because the Cubs, when they're hot, what does that version look like? 5 runs a game? Because when the Cardinals are hot, this version is 7 runs a game, very similar to the Mets, where it's really, really good hitters, where they look like shit. It looks terrible, and Cardinals fans want to punch a hole in their television, but when it's good, it's fantastic. And that's how I still view the Cardinals offense. Burleson has been awesome. Mason Wynn has been awesome. And if Goldschmidt and Arenado could just get their heads out of their asses, they're still Goldschmidt and Arenado. Of course they could go on a toward run at any time, right? I know it's looked bad so far, but it's still Goldschmidt and Arenado. I'm going to hang my hat on 2 potential Hall of Famers. I am. Sue me. I'm going to. And then we're talking about Wilson Contreras, who was swinging an insane bat before he got injured, and now he's back. They're going to get Tommy Edman back. They're going to get Lars Nootbaar back. It's a good team. And then you look at the rotation, Sonny Gray's as good as anybody. He's as good as anybody. And Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, they're doing fine. So is Miles Michaelis.
Yep.
Right? And then I think they're going to be more motivated to add. I was just on Cardinals radio. I was talking to host Nate Lucas, and he said that John Mozeliak just had a press conference when he was asked about the possibility of selling. And Nate said, you should have seen his face. He said, what the hell are you talking about? We're buying. That was the vibe from him. And that's an awesome feeling to get if you're a Cardinals fan. He sees that
Yep.
this window is opening. And of course they're going to buy. Look how old they are. It's the oldest team
Yeah.
I've ever seen. Of
Yeah.
course they're going to buy. This is the window right here. More confident that they're going to buy. They're playing good baseball, but the offense hasn't truly broken out yet.
No.
But I'm not willing to just like run around in circles and be like, yeah, the Cardinals are definitely making the playoffs because they got a negative run differential. It's still an old team, so who knows? Maybe these guys could get injured instead. And I love the bullpen. I really do. I think it's a great bullpen. John King, Ryan Fernandez, these guys have really stepped up. And then they got that trio of Jojo Romero, Kittredge, and Helsley. And Gallegos coming back is huge too. I really like the bullpen too. I think they're at 3. But they're the Cardinals and they piss me off all the time. So I could assure them before.
Well, and they're doing it though with Mike Ciani playing center field and Matt Carpenter.
He's just Miles Straw. He's Miles Straw. He's the all-world defender and can't hit.
Matt Carpenter DHing, for them a lot. Like they're gonna get Tommy Edman back. We talked about that a few episodes ago, where like he's gonna be on a rehab assignment relatively soon. For them to be playing as well as they're playing without really Goldie and Arenado really heating up or holding their end of the bargain. Like if you told me that the Cardinals got hot, they're finally rattling off wins, I'd say, oh wow, Arenado and Goldschmidt must be really swinging it. They're like not really. That's the craziest part. So I mean, even a Nolan Gorman, not really swinging it that great overall. It's feast or famine with him. So I do feel like the offense can only get better. Yes, you've had Burleson doing things and stuff like that, but I honestly feel like this team they're selling me more and more now. And I don't know what they're going to get from a Steven Matz when he comes back, but it is another body that's capable of, eating innings if you need it. Ivan Herrera has been hurt, and that's definitely a better, other option because you could catch him and then you could put Contreras in the DH spot and send Matt Carpenter to the bench. Like that probably helps a lot more, especially instead of Pedro Pages, who will fill in at the catching position when they give Contreras a day off, and it's kind of an automatic out. So like there's a lot of reasons why I think they're gonna get better as well. And then I agree, I think they're 100% gonna add, and they've got a pretty decent farm and some pitching prospects that are coming together. They also have other decent arms, like depth arms that could fill into the back of the rotation in AAA, like a Gordon Graceffo, that I think could fill in and be solid for them. So like they've got and Sam Roberts. So like I think there's a lot to still believe in with this team, and for that reason, I actually have them at 2.
And I have the Arizona Diamondbacks at 2. And I'm willing to hear. Here's my thing about the Arizona Diamondbacks. The bullpen is finally looking a lot better. Emergence of Justin Martinez, who's a fucking train engine. This man is a train engine. Is at 99 miles an hour. I think he's just behind like Helsley, Duran, and Mason Miller in terms of average fastball velocity. Dude's a demon. Seawald's back. Thompson's back. Ginkel's back. All right. I like this bullpen now. There's some guys that I don't love, but overall, those 4 I can hang on. This team's operating without Zach Allen and Merrill Kelly. You lose your 2 best 2 guys who are like Gallen's an ace. Kelly's a solid number 2, as good as like just like consistent 6 innings, 2 runs. Those guys being out and they're going to return, I think that's massive. I also think that Jordan Montgomery is going to figure it out sooner rather than later. I can't imagine that he doesn't. And Brandon Pfaadt is just legit. Like he's just straight up, I think he's a legit pitcher. So if I got that 4 with this bullpen and Corbin Carroll, have you been seeing the EVs lately? He's hitting the ball really, really hard again, which is so good to see. Ketel Marte is near an MVP candidate. Christian Walker is still a stud. Love Jock Peterson. Eugenio Suarez can't be any worse. Stinks. Can't be any worse, right? You get Perdomo back. Alec Thomas has been injured. Jake McCarthy. Like, this team is still the team that went to the World Series. And I think they're going to buy 2 because I think there's no way that they can sell after going to the World Series. There's no way. Like, even if it's not the right thing for their future, I cannot see them selling. So nobody's going to be gone. Like, I'm almost more confident the Cardinals sell than the Diamondbacks, if that makes sense. Neither are going to, but if you put a gun in my head and said pick, I would say the Cardinals just because the Diamondbacks went to the World Series and there's no way that they can rationalize selling after doing that. Always knowing that they have a chance. They just went to the damn World Series. So I look at it like that. Run differential ain't bad. Like, I just bet against this team. I bet on the Twins against the Diamondbacks with Ryan Nelson throwing it home. He got absolutely destroyed, and I won that bet. But still, like, I'm not bringing that up in any sense. I'm just saying that it was an easy bet for me to go with Simeon Woods Richardson and the Twins over the Diamondbacks right now. This is where we're at in the National League. I'm just saying that if Gallen and Kelly are back, like, I'm taking that series over the Cardinals. I think they would win that one. That's why I razorly thin win Diamondbacks. Did I convince you, or you're still bought into the Cardinals over them?
I'm still bought into the Cardinals. We didn't even mention Lars Nootbaar, who's actually swinging it well.
Oh, I mentioned Lars
What
Nootbaar. I said he's coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. So him and Edmund,
Yeah.
that adds a level of like just I think a dynamic aspect to their team. That's fun. And I hear what you're saying on the sellers aspect. I think neither sell. And if I'm thinking about who's going to be more aggressive of a buyer, I do think that it is the Cardinals, given just the way that Mozeliak, I think, is going to want to operate, the way we kind of saw them operate. And I'm not saying it's going to be a crazy aggressive move, but they've got more prospect capital. I think they could go out and get another starter, or go out and get, whatever they may need. But I also feel like you look at the team and you're like, there's not really a gaping area where I'm like, oh, they really need an upgrade there. And I am worried, though, to a degree. How does Gallen look when he does come back?
True.
Of course, Merrill Kelly, I'm a little bit more confident will come back and look okay. But at the same time, like, that was, a strange shoulder. So I'm a little bit worried about how both those guys come back and how they look. But at the same time, of course, you get Erod back as well. All of a sudden, if he's able to throw off of that strained lat, like, there's definitely the upside here. That is crazy. We're talking about 3 fantastic pitchers at their best that are all on the IL right now for the D-backs. Like, that could change a lot. And getting those guys back in the fold could totally put them on another level. Same with Jordan Montgomery. If he starts pitching like Jordan Montgomery, all of a sudden this is a really good rotation. I'm just becoming a little bit more skeptical that that's going to happen this year. And then I also have a lot of concern about the third base position, the shortstop spot. Even I hope Perdomo performs, but he wasn't even really performing before the injury. He started to, I think he was doing his rehab appearances, and then he pulled a hammy.
Damn it.
So he just got hurt again. So that part sucks. I could go either way here, and you got to figure that Corbin Carroll starts playing better, but like, it's been 333 plate appearances now.
But he is playing better lately.
I feel like we've done this a few times, though.
I know.
So, I mean, I could go either way. I think there's more upside to the D-backs, but I think the Cardinals are safer. And I'm going to go with the safer pick and the team that I think is going to be a little bit more aggressive.
Close your eyes for a second. Just close your eyes.
They're close.
You're picking the St. Louis Cardinals over the team that just went to the World Series.
Yes.
You've been covering baseball for a long time now. You know what the Cardinals are.
Yep.
You're still sitting with it?
Yep.
Because I'm a closeted Cardinals fan, and I watch this team a lot. And like, it can be good. It can be very bad.
Like I said,
the
we're gonna
Diamondbacks
get dunked on.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm sticking with my guns with the D-backs, but I understand the Cardinals' point. I like the Cardinals. I think they're a good team. Like, I don't think, you know what? No, they fit in this mediocre conversation. I mean, they do, but they're one of the better ones, as are the Diamondbacks. And I think that's when we come to number one. San Diego Padres are, they're
You
number
think they're
one,
gonna
but
add?
they're damn annoying. Of course they're gonna add. I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna make a prediction right now. I'm making a prediction, and I kind of want this on the quote card too. You know how the White Sox have floated that they're open to dealing Crochet and Luis Robert?
Yeah.
I think both of them are headed to San Diego. And you say, well, Peter, center field, like, do they need one? I don't think AJ Preller gives a shit. He didn't need he didn't need Xander Bogaerts either. What did he do? I don't think that matters. I don't think they're operating under that logic. I think they're operating under the assumption that time is now. Time is now. We signed all these guys to 10-year deals. When they're in year 7 of them, they're going to suck, and we're going to suck. We have to buy now. I think he's going to add Crochet and Robert, and I think he's going to overpay for him. And I don't think he's going to care. And then you're going to add Crochet.
His job's on the line.
His job's on the line.
He's going to push all the chips forward. Who gives a shit how he leaves the farm system afterwards?
Exactly. Why would he care?
Why
would he care about Dylan Lesko's development? I mean,
No.
And that has nothing to do with Dylan Lesko. Dylan Lesko's going to be the man. I'm just talking about AJ Preller here. He does not care. And with the Padres too, like, they were one-run luck losers last year. The opposite of the Miami Marlins, who we've seen completely tank. I still like the Padres. I still
do
like
too.
Robert Suarez. I still like Jeremiah Estrada. I still like this rotation a lot. I still like this offense that hasn't been doing it without Xander Bogaerts. And you look at the IL, it's filled. Luis Campusano, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis. You look at the rotation too, there's plenty of injuries there. And you know that they're going to add. Like I think I'm more confident about them adding than the Dodgers.
Yes.
Just because Preller is such a maniac. Like he will make the trade where Jeff Passan says the San Diego Padres, and everybody's like, how is it not the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Yankees or the whatever? It was the Padres again because he's a crazy person. He's going to add, and this team is very good. I mean, I got my World Series futures. Now, are they going to hit? Probably not. But I still think that the Padres are the best team out of this bunch, and I don't think it's that close.
I totally agree. I think they're on a different level than everybody else. I don't even think it's recency bias because they're gonna. And I know it sucks that Tatis is out for a little bit, but they're gonna get him back. Obviously, Bogart should be back in July. They were hoping. You hope
All-Star
maybe
break,
August,
right? That's what I heard. All-Star break.
Yeah, they're hoping end of All-Star break, even if it's August, right? That's great. You get him back. And they've been even rattling off, good performances here with Higashioka catching instead of Campusano. And then, it's not like Yu Darvish is dealing with an arm issue. It's like a groin thing. So hopefully he comes back and is able to throw. But I mean, what they've been getting from Dylan Cease overall, what they've been getting from Michael King, of course, Matt Waldron, like rotation solid. I agree. I think they are going to push all the chips forward. They still have a good farm because that's what AJ Preller does, man. Like he keeps reloading and like they don't even have to trade Ethan Salas. They could trade DeVries, who's a top 60 prospect for us. They could trade Lesko, Snelling. Those guys can get you a star.
He might trade Salas. He might trade Salas.
Wouldn't
like
shock
we're
me
talking
either.
about, untouchable. He does not give a
Doesn't
fuck.
care.
He doesn't care. Nobody's untouchable.
I'm with you. I think, and adding a rise to the team. I know he's actually not playing to the best of his ability right now, but I said it when the trade went down. Just a perfect fit for this ball club, especially when everyone's healthy. Merrill is just continuing to blossom. I think by the end of this year, he could be playing like a fringe all-star.
He's the man.
He's awesome. He's on pace for 2020 and hitting for average and playing a good center field. No brainer for me. So yeah, I think the Padres are that top spot.
So let's go over your list again. So my list is I have the Nationals at number 9, the Pirates at 8, Cubs at 7, Reds are at 6, Giants at 5, Mets at 4, Cardinals at 3, D-backs at 2, and San Diego Padres at 1. Pretty sure you're just flipping the Reds and the Cubs and you're flipping the Cardinals and the D-backs?
Exactly. You did an all-time convincing job on me with the Giants, who made a massive leap from 8 to 5. But other than that, yeah, it's Nationals from last to first. Nationals, Pirates, Reds, Cubs, Giants, Mets, Diamondbacks, Cardinals, and Padres.
Well, we just combed through mediocrity in the National League. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Before we get to Players of the Week, a quick break. All right, Aram, Players of the Week. It's time for you to guess. And I already gave you number 1 at the beginning of this episode. And that number 1 was Francisco Alvarez. Just to go over the stats for a second, he walked at a 28% rate last week, hit 500, slugged 1167 for a 370 WRC plus. To put that in perspective, he was 270% better than the league average hitter with 3 homers and 5 driven in. So let's get to 2 through 4. It is an absolute loaded Players of the Week.
So
I mean,
finally,
these are the best players in baseball. Yeah, I mean, these are this list is sick.
Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge comes in at number 3, 4 homers, 13 driven in. He had the most RBIs this week of any player while hitting 400, slugging over 1,000 with a 319 WRC plus. But he's not number 2. He's number 3. So you still need 2, 4, and 5.
2, 4, and 5. 2, 4, and 5.
Think of the best players in baseball.
Davis Schneider.
He is not, unfortunately, in the top 10.
No, he's actually cooled off a little
bit.
By the way, we'll be on the show Monday, so look out for that episode. I'm very excited to bring Davis on the show. Francisco Alvarez on there.
I'm telling you, he's number 1. We already went over.
Oh yeah.
Number 1.
Sorry.
So he number 1. Aaron Judge number 3. Gunnar comes in at number 5. This past week, 4 bobs, 4 steals, walked more. He struck out, hit 419, slugged 935 for a 301 WRC plus, and led everyone in baseball in F4. So you got 5, which is Gunnar, 3, which is Judge, 1, which is Francisco Alvarez. You need 2 and 4.
Jose Ramirez.
Nope. That did not make the top 10.
Wow, really?
He was 12.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper came in at number 2. 5 jacks this week, hitting 500, slugging 1167, same as Francisco Alvarez for a 367 WRC plus. And all you're missing is number 4, and he's the best player in baseball.
Number 4, and Aaron Judge, I thought was.
No, Ohtani.
Oh,
Duh.
there you go.
Ohtani comes in. He also hit 5 jacks, walked at a 27% rate while hitting 391, slugging over 1,000 for a 313 WRC plus. Go ahead.
Did I see it right that our guy Peyton said that he has 9 home runs in 10 games against the White Sox?
9 home runs in 10 games against the Chicago.
That's true. That's not fake.
He's the stat king.
He wasn't trolling us with that one?
I don't think he was. He made a video about it and it banged.
I understand that it's the White Sox, but that's
9
insane.
home runs in 10 games.
That's insane.
The rest of the top 10, Jonathan India comes in at number 6. Great week for him. 303 WRC plus. Hit 520. Number 7, Brendan Donovan. Hit 500, 282 WRC plus. CJ Abrams finally stealing bases for me. Hit 480 this week. Sean Murphy of the Braves, glad to see him back. 262 WRC plus, yeah, hitting 421. And Spencer Horowitz for the Blue Jays.
You rakes.
254 WRC plus this week. That's your top 10.
That guy can hit, dude. I'm telling you. They just didn't know where to put him defensively, and it wasn't enough power for like a first base profile. They're getting him by at second base and a little bit of first, but Horowitz can freaking hit. You'd be shocked. If you haven't heard of him, go look at the stats, what he's done in AAA. One of the best kept secrets, I think, in the upper minors. I'm excited for him because guy, it's been long deserved to get some run at the big league level.
Yeah, I want to see Blue Jays lineups consistently with like Ernie Clement, Addison Barger, Spencer Horowitz, and David Schneider. Like those guys should be in the lineup every single day. Why not?
I agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree. And I bet you it'll be one of those things where they end up actually playing better than the group that they've been putting out there every single day.
Wouldn't be surprised at all. So that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. This was the Friday edition, and I hope everybody enjoyed. For Aram Layden, I'm Peter Apple. Go get your Just Baseball rope hats. They're back in stock. Don't forget, Just Baseball rope hats. And before you go, if you're getting tickets this weekend, remember that game time promo code, Just Baseball. Put that in the profile section. Get $20 off your first purchase. And if you're looking to make a couple wagers this weekend, might I recommend using code Just Baseball and BetMGM. Get that first bet offer up to $1,500. And if you don't want to do any of that, at least can you rate and review 5 stars, please? 5 stars. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Hit that big red subscribe button on YouTube. For Aram Layden, I'm Peter Apple. Of course, we'll be back next week, headlined by a Davis Schneider interview. Stay tuned. And with that, thank you, everybody.